Hi, it's Greg Dwyer. Welcome to Mindful Conversations. My guest today is Carl Brown. He is a hypnotist. Carl, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for inviting me.
So, are people born hypnotists? How did you get involved in this?
You know, I wanted a change in my life, so I was looking through the internet because there's a million jobs or more, ways to make a living, and I wanted to be helpful to people.
Right.
And I wanted to do a job where I was kind of out of the elements, inside job.
Sure.
And I found this, and the school that offered hypnosis had a preliminary course that you had to pass in order to go to the school.
And what was the course? What did you have to do?
It was actually pretty intensive. It was learning about how our mind works, mostly the theory of mind.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is Mindful Conversation, so I always encourage people, have a mindful conversation, contribute something that will be mindful to folks. And so you had to pass this thing first before you became a hypnotist.
Before I could go to the school.
Ah, that's really, so the credentials were pretty strict.
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't just take a course for $9.95 and become a hypnotist.
No, it was 300 hours to start, and then mentoring after that.
That's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So did you study to become like a showman, like a stage hypnotist, or clinical? What was the area of focus?
It's clinical.
Okay.
I did take one stage hypnosis course,
Yeah.
but it's not me.
No.
I just don't see myself being on stage.
So you don't want to make people quacking like a duck or taking off their clothes because they're too cold or hot or acting crazy with violins and doing all that crazy stuff.
No, and you'll find that those people are normally more suggestible than anybody else.
Right.
You talked about seeing Kreskin.
Yeah, Kreskin, before we started, yeah.
Well, Kreskin, he's such a professional.
Yeah, he is.
He's the best.
I just saw him a couple months ago in New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw him at Infinity.
Yeah, I saw him there too. How many years ago? A couple years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there.
So I paid to meet him and all that stuff, and it was great.
He's still doing his stuff.
Funny, a friend of mine. Well, we went, two couples, my wife and I and another couple.
Right.
And we went, and my wife likes to negate everything.
Oh.
So she stood up. My friend stood up. They're heading up there, and he just pointed to her and went, "You go sit down."
Oh.
Because he knows.
He knows.
She's not suggestible.
He can read.
Oh my God.
Read people.
He's the best.
Yeah, we've been doing it for what, 50, 60 years?
Yeah.
So hypnosis, can anybody be hypnotized?
Yes.
Anybody can. Okay.
They have to want it.
They have
to allow it.
They have to allow it.
Right.
So what I know about hypnosis is that it really is a natural state, that we go into hypnosis without having to have a hypnotist hypnotize us. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So how does that happen naturally for those people that are, specific about, not specific, curious about this, or they're skeptical is the word I'm looking for?
You go into hypnosis every day.
You do?
Yeah. It's usually, it's an overload of message units.
What do you mean?
If you're driving down the highway and there's a lot of traffic,
Right.
and there's, who knows what's going on, and the things that you have going on during the day,
Right.
things you're thinking about, groceries,
Right.
bills, whatever. You get so many message units, you have to start dissipating them.
Right.
But in that state, you kind of get into a hypnosis.
Well, you're deleting information. It kind of
Right.
reminds me like when I love New York City. I wouldn't want to live there, no offense to anybody, but I go into New York City and you're walking through Times Square or Penn Station, there's millions of people and there's millions of things coming at you.
Right.
And you just kind of have to focus. Your concentration is so focused.
Right.
And I guess that's a hypnotic state in the sense that someone is focusing on one little thing.
Pretty much. That's what I do with people. Now, you've been hypnotized before.
My first time, I was under for 3 hours.
Really?
Yeah. This was back in the 80s. Yeah, it was in the 80s. I was under hypnosis for 3 hours, and when I woke up, it felt like a half an hour. The time, I had no concept of
time distortion.
I did. Yeah, it was really weird. My sister was in the room, so she validated it for me. And it wasn't something on a stage or anything like that, but I was amazed. I couldn't believe I was out for 3 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Why was it 3 hours?
I don't know. It was right after my mom died, and this person did hypnosis just to put me in a state of being calm.
Okay.
My sister was there, and then I remember her saying, "Oh, how long do you think it's been?" I'm like, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I looked at the clock. It was 3 hours later. It was amazing. Yeah. I couldn't really feel anything. I know I was all numb, but I was awake, but it was a different aspect of consciousness. You know, we're talking 30 some odd years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's different levels
Okay.
of hypnosis.
Right.
Most people only need to go into a lower level. So
Okay.
your body's completely relaxed,
Right.
and your mind is very alert. You can talk.
Yep.
You can. Some people. I just had a client recently. She said, "I just don't want to make it, so I can't open my eyes."
Right.
So that's big, you know,
Right.
for some people. They
Right.
can panic.
Sure.
So I put her in a light state and said, "You want to open your eyes now? If you can't open your eyes, I'll help you.
Right.
You know, talk
Right.
to you about it." So she was able to do that, and then she could just drift to where she needed to be.
Right.
You can do really deep hypnosis if you need surgery, something
Yeah.
like that.
Before surgery is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. Do you know Doug O'Brien from New York? He used to
No.
work in Manhattan, and he would go in and work with folks just before they were being operated or in the process of them in the operating room. And he did that for years. Doug's a good friend of mine. So yeah, medical hypnosis, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I just recently become certified in pre and post surgery hypnosis.
Well, it's important. You know, if someone's going into surgery, this is what I learned. I learned it from my friend James Mapes, that if you're really anxious and you're worried, it's probably not a good time to be operated on.
It's true.
Right? Because
Yeah.
it does affect your blood pressure and how you're going to
Affects
recover.
everything.
It does.
And it affects time in surgery.
Time
We're
in
talking
surgery.
about time in surgery, amount of anesthesia.
Yep.
If somebody's really anxious and they have a lot of adrenaline, you have to give them a lot of anesthesia.
Yeah.
And anesthesia, we all know, is an issue. Even anesthesiologists know it's an issue.
Right.
The less, the better.
Exactly.
Right? You can come out of it easier. It doesn't create so much nausea.
Sure.
You know, all
Sure.
kinds of benefits.
Sure.
And it's quicker. You go in quicker.
Right.
So
Right.
it's time on the table is quicker.
Right. So I do this lecture called The Magic of Communication, and I draw a triangle, and the lower part of the triangle, I talk about the subconscious mind. And I've been on your website, and in the promo that you have, this sizzle reel, you talk about the subconscious mind making up 88%, if I remember correctly, and 12% conscious mind.
That's the model we use.
That's the model?
A lot of doctors say it's more of 95-5.
So 5 being where?
Conscious.
Really?
Yeah.
5% conscious.
Yeah, especially if you get overwhelmed.
Okay.
Right? If you get overwhelmed, you relate to your subconscious. You just let your subconscious do everything.
So it takes over.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is going to air 2019.
Okay.
So right now we're in December 10th, 2018, but by the time this airs, it's going to be in the New Year's. People are making, or at least thinking about the New Year, New Year's resolutions. I know that 98% of people that set them, they don't even follow through, and I
Right.
wonder if it has to do with this ratio of 5 and 95. Like I say I'm going to stop smoking, I say I'm going to eat better, or I say I'm going to do something, but subconsciously I go back to the same pattern.
Yeah.
Why in the world do we do that?
Okay. The words homeostasis.
Yes.
Our subconscious wants us to be happy,
Comfortable?
comfortable,
I do think you're right.
happy, and safe.
And safe.
So anytime you make a change, there's fear.
There is fear.
Well, it comes out as fear,
Okay.
even if it's good for you.
Okay.
You know, quitting smoking, everybody knows it's good for you.
Yes.
But it's a fear. What are your friends going to be like? What do you know?
Okay.
Because when you change, everybody changes.
Yes. Yes.
So it's difficult in that way. The actual addiction is almost nothing.
So what we're really looking for is security or comfort, and all of these addictions are just giving us that. Is that right to say?
Well, once we have them,
Mm-hmm.
our subconscious takes over. Everybody, that smokes. I don't happen to smoke, but
I don't
people
either.
would go, well, when I wake up and I have a cup of coffee, I have a cigarette. It's just a habit
It's a
and an
habit.
addiction.
Yeah.
And they also think, we've been brainwashed to think that alcohol is a crutch
Right.
and a pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Cigarettes are a crutch and a pleasure. Adults do it, so you're like initiated into adulthood. And you watch commercials and you're just, everybody's cool and everybody's having a good time.
Right.
If they're doing these things. So the actual addiction itself, like the nicotine, people go, I just can't quit cold turkey. It's almost nothing. It's almost imperceptible.
So what's driving the show? The 95% of the subconscious mind?
Yep.
So how do you, as a hypnotist, get past the critical factor, if you will, and get that thing to change? How does this work? How do you do this? How do you work your magic?
Okay. In hypnosis, it's an overload of message units. I talked to you about a lot of things that first of all, the first session's like 2 hours.
Okay, 2 hours.
2 hours. And we talk, most of that, the sessions that I do are 15, 20 minutes in state. The rest of the time is talking.
All right.
So we find out what you actually want. Why is it a benefit for you to, let's say, stop smoking? I mean, we do every other thing, but let's say just stop smoking. What is the benefit? What are your fears? What are, the challenges, all that stuff? And we take your conscious thoughts, because you're more suggestible to yourself.
Yes.
You're not suggestible to me.
Unless I get to know you and I trust you, right?
But still,
Really?
I'm not going to change your mind.
So are you getting me to say these things in
Yeah, you tell me
post-suggestion?
what you want.
I see.
So that's what I'm saying. You have to want it.
I see.
If you go, well, I don't really care if my life's shorter,
Right.
you're not going to quit smoking.
Or I'll try to lose weight, or I'm trying to
Yeah.
eat better, then you
Yeah.
know they're not going to
Then
do it.
at the first session, I just go, we part as friends.
Right.
I don't even charge you for the first session, if that's the case.
Okay,
Once
good.
we determine if it's not for you, and I don't think it's for you,
That's great. So there's no risk.
there's no risk.
Okay, that's good. So I learned about you through a good friend of mine, Lori, who has a connection with the Bridge, and
Yeah.
you have an office there, right?
Yeah.
So how do people get a hold of you? I'm sure people are going to want to lose weight, help with anxiety, smoking. What other things
Well, anxiety is huge.
is it?
And I got to tell you, almost everybody that comes to my office is having a problem with self-love.
Self-love?
Yeah.
So I know people are going to want to get a hold of you. So how do they find you? Do they find you on Facebook? Do they call the Bridge?
You can do any of those things. Calling me direct or texting me is the answer.
So-
I get
so-
a million emails. It's
Okay.
difficult.
Okay. So can you give the information? Because I know we're facing a new year, 2019. This is probably a great opportunity for people to reach out to you.
Right.
So how would they get a hold of you?
We can go on Carl Brown Hypnosis.
Carl
Just look
Brown
up-
Hypnosis,
Yep.
and that's on Facebook.
Well, that's on anywhere on the internet. Just Google Carl
Oh.
Brown Hypnosis.
Okay, Carl Brown.
You can go on Facebook and
Yep.
look at that.
Okay.
Now, on my website is a 5-minute video. You might have watched that.
I watched it today.
Okay.
It's very interesting.
It's just about theory of mind.
Yes.
And how our mind works. And
Yes.
that way you get to see me.
Right.
You're seeing me today too, but
Sure.
you get to see me
Right.
and you get to understand the theory of the mind.
Right.
So when you come in, you can have more questions. It's not a
Exactly.
big secret or surprise.
Well,
how it
I
works.
went on there today and I watched it. I think it's like a couple minutes.
5 minutes,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I got to know you immediately. I said, I get this guy. The minute you walked into the studio today, I'm like, this is the guy I watched. I trust him. I know he knows what he's talking about. So you get what you get, And I think
Right.
that's a great way of reaching out to people. So if people want to come to your office, the first session is free, unless, of course, they're going to move forward and work with you.
Well, the first session is, I charge for the first session.
You do.
Except
Okay.
if either one of us think that it's not the
I
right
see.
fit.
So there's no money back guarantee, is what
yeah,
you
yeah, basically.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
And I've only had a few people where it's not going to work for
Right,
them.
exactly.
Where they're just
My spouse sent me. She thinks
Yes.
I should lose weight. And,
absolutely.
yeah.
And now I sort of do that over the phone.
You
If
weed 'em
somebody's
out.
yes, if somebody's going to send you, my wife wants me to stop smoking, it's not going to
Yeah,
work.
it's not going to work.
You
So,
know.
yeah, I remember years ago hearing about Tony Robbins, where people would come to him and he'd help them with smoking or whatever it was, and
Mm-hmm.
he would make it very difficult for them to reach him. He'd charge a lot of money,
Yeah.
and they really had to want to change. And if they
Right.
didn't want to change, there was no way in the world.
Right.
So who's going to be hiring you? What's the avatar? What's the audience? What are some of the challenges that people will have where they're going to need your services?
At this time, especially around this time of the year, there's a lot of anxiety.
Anxiety? Yeah.
But I tell you, because of our ages now, a lot of people are taking care of family members.
Yeah, yeah.
There's this caregiver thing where caregivers don't take care of themselves.
Right, right.
Okay,
I know what
and-
you're talking about.
Right, and it's important that people take the time for themselves. So
Right.
it's good for them to take the time for themselves to come here. Almost everybody could use a session.
Okay, good.
almost everyone.
Good. All right. So go to Carl Brown Hypnosis, whether you're listening to this right now, 2018, 2019, or a broadcast in the future. Get a hold of Carl. And there's nothing you have to really risk other than your time. And we'll be back after this commercial break. Welcome back to Mindful Conversations. I'm Greg Dwyer. My guest today is Carl Brown. We are talking about the mind. We're talking about hypnosis. So tell me a little bit about the school, how you got trained and what the strengths of the specific school that you went to on hypnosis.
Okay. At this particular school was founded by Dr. Kappas.
Okay.
He was, because he had so many students going through there, he was like, why is it one day I can hypnotize somebody and then the next day I can't? You know, why does it work for some people? Why does it not work for other
interesting.
people?
Yeah.
Because some people say you can't hypnotize everybody. Only half the people can be hypnotized.
Half? 50%? I never heard
Well, that's
that.
how it was back in Ericksonian days.
Yeah.
Because most hypnotherapists or hypnotists were direct literal people, A-type.
Direct literal.
Yep, A-type people, like doctors and stuff like that.
I see. Analytical?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you took in things by inference,
Right.
which half the people do, half the people take things in more on the inference side.
Yep.
Half the people take things in more on the direct literal side.
I see.
So if
Give me an example, because I don't know if people understand what you're saying.
it depends on how you were, basically how you were raised.
All right.
So if your parents, whether they're your parents, whoever raised you, were congruent, like if you do this, then something's going to happen to you.
So I clean my room, I get a raise, or I
Yep.
get an allowance? Is that what you mean?
Yep.
Or- okay.
Or you do something wrong, you get grounded.
Yeah.
Or you just have to stay in the house,
Right.
whatever the case is.
Okay.
If they were congruent, you take things in literally.
So
People were
right.
congruent with you.
Right, right.
If they didn't do that, you take things in literally. You might take things in by the tone of their voice versus
Yes.
what they actually said.
Right. A lot of
Okay.
times people will say to me, I don't know if you're kidding or not kidding. So maybe I'm not literal. I'm not really sure. But it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. Right?
It is, depending on whoever's receiving it.
Right. So if someone
See.
is literal and I say something that's being sarcastic or funny, they might think I'm taking it literally or speaking literally, but I'm not. I'm making a bigger point, or I'm making fun of something, but I'm doing it in a subtle way, and it just kind of goes right over their head.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I'm doing hypnosis with someone, there's tests. There's actually questionnaires,
I see.
36 questions.
Okay.
That are very similar to each other, except they ask in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we do the actual test. I do some inferred things, like inferred arm raising. Like I would have you sit at this table and close your eyes and talk to you about your hand raising.
Right. Going up.
Just see if it happens. So then I know how you're going to take in information.
I see.
And then actually we go over it together. There's no secrets. There's no mystery with people.
Right.
I go over everything with them first, how I'm going to say, what I'm going to say.
Sure.
And they'll be more comfortable when they're in the recliner.
Right.
And the recliner's pretty magic. You know,
Is
they're
it?
sitting over here in a chair that's not real comfortable.
Right.
And then they go in the recliner.
There's a contrast there.
And there's a contrast, and then, you know, they get to close their eyes. You lose a lot of sensory.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do breathing,
Mhm.
which automatically slows your heart rate.
Yes.
We do visualizations,
Mhm.
you know, of a place that's comfortable for them.
Right.
And then we talk about their issues.
Okay.
Actually, I give them the information that they gave me that we already went over.
That's wonderful. So you feather it back.
Right.
Okay.
And that's how it works. And the results are really good when you do it that way and not try to, I would never impose my influence on somebody. However, it does happen in this industry. So
It does.
Oh, yeah.
You see a lot of misuse in that?
Well,
or
it's
abuse?
just lack of knowledge.
So you're not pulling out a script. You're not buying a book that
No.
says, here's the script that you need to use.
No.
You're collecting the information from them,
Right.
and you're using their words and their perception with
Right.
or on them.
Right. There's some really good generic scripts, and you might have learned some. If
I
you
read
did-
some, but I didn't take them seriously.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because, right, they don't pertain.
No, they don't.
Okay.
You got to get to know a person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I have a person that's, well, all different backgrounds, obviously. But one client, let's say, has a beautiful beach house. So I don't have to take them on a journey anywhere.
Right.
Like,
right.
what's your favorite place? My deck on my beach? Yeah, okay, so we go there.
But if they're afraid of water, you're not taking them there.
Exactly.
Exactly. Or the woods. Or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes
So we
a lot of
find
sense.
all that stuff out, and what their interests are, and what makes them relax.
So what's the success rate? I think it's pretty high with hypnosis.
really high.
It is very high.
Well, especially with the tools like the suggestibility test. Really, it takes from half, right, to almost everyone.
Wow.
Everybody that wants it.
Wow.
So I was really, really lucky. I don't know that I actually believe in luck. I know that everything comes to us that we want.
Sure.
So, and that's why people come to me. They go, I don't even know why I came here.
Wow.
I don't know how we really got connected. I
Sure.
just sort of saw something, or a friend of mine told me.
Synchronicity. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're all, we vibrate at a level. That's my belief.
I
And
think so
we
too.
attract the things that we need.
Right.
If you, an example is wake up in the morning and say you're going to have a great day. I don't care if it's raining, snowing. You're going to have a great day.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
you wake up and you say something different than that, it goes that way too. So we all get what we want.
Yeah.
So we want good things.
Right. Every day I do 14 minutes of a guided meditation. So it's not hypnosis.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And I also write down 7 things that I'm grateful for. But I also know that how you start your day, the priming, the conditioning, sets the tone for the whole day.
Absolutely.
You know, and if you just make a subtle shift in that, it can change your whole direction of your life.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we also do a thing where you write down before you go to sleep. On your way into sleep, you go through hypnosis.
You do. So
Yeah.
everybody's going
Yeah.
through it.
Yeah. So the trick is people, which I don't use on people, but they go, has anybody here been hypnotized before, right? And half the people don't raise their hand.
Sure.
And then they go, well, no, everybody goes through hypnosis. It's not a good thing. I don't like to, do that with people.
Sure, you don't
because
like to trick
everybody
people.
goes through hypnosis.
Right.
It's a natural state. However, if somebody's helping you with it, you have to trust them.
So
right? You
what's
have
the-
to have rapport.
Obviously. What's the difference between self-hypnosis, right, that you're talking about, and versus going and hiring you?
Some people, for me, for instance, I can't meditate.
You can't
I
meditate.
can't meditate.
Okay.
I can do it for 30 seconds.
All right.
And then I'm off on,
Your
I'm
mind
thinking,
wanders. Yeah.
right? But if you're that kind of person, meditation, hypnosis are similar.
They're very
right?
similar. Yeah.
So you would have me help you,
Okay.
and like I say, it's basically all your information. I'm just helping get it into your state.
Right. Somebody explained it to me. It's like, like this hourglass, you have equal parts to it. You have a top and the bottom. They're pretty equal. But when it comes to the subconscious mind and hypnosis, it's almost like you got this giant elephant, and then you got this little guy riding on top of it. And the guy on the top is the conscious mind.
Right.
The guy on the top says, I want to go this direction. I want to go that direction. But you got this giant elephant, the subconscious mind, that says no, based on beliefs.
Right.
So what I get is through hypnosis, you're able to direct that elephant. You're able to control that elephant to do things that the conscious mind could never do, because you got this giant force of nature.
Right. Well, in our conscious mind, there's our logic, reason, and willpower.
Conscious mind, yeah.
Conscious mind.
Yeah.
So let's keep it to 12%, so people
12%, yeah.
So people don't become hopeless.
Yeah.
Right. At 5%, I went, I'm never going to tell people that. It's too much to overcome.
Yeah.
So logic, reason, and willpower, we think that that's the powerful part of us.
It's not, is it?
It's not.
No, because
Willpower. You can't make it, when you want to quit smoking,
Right.
you're not going to make it a day. Then you feel like a failure. Then it's this cycle.
So willpower really isn't. See, that's why I believe that you should make these things a habit, whether it's working out or meditating. I hear it, and I know I do it in my own life, that habit is really, really important, because once you make it a habit, I guess it's part of that subconscious mind.
How do you make it a habit? with willpower, it's hard.
I'm not. Tell me the
Right.
secret.
Well, it's difficult.
It is.
So if you're going to work out,
Yep.
I guess the way you would start is go work out for 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
and
Small
then
steps.
10
Yep.
minutes, and
Yep.
then whatever.
Make it a habit.
Make it a habit. However, if you just go through hypnosis, if you really want that and you just can't do it,
Yeah.
we basically, when you're in hypnosis and your body's comfortable but your mind's alert,
Yep.
we open what's the critical mind
Right.
between your conscious and subconscious and allow that to become your subconscious. For instance, I had a smoker come in, and this is normal.
Sure.
So this isn't like one time this happened. This is normal. I go as 3 to 6 sessions, so it's kind of expensive.
Yes, sure.
To become a non-smoker with me. You can go $39, get in a group, and it's going to work for half the people.
Right.
You know, and it's helped a lot of people. And a lot of
Sure.
people have told me it's good.
Yeah.
With me, there's no feeling bad about it. It's not. You're not going to feel nauseous. You're not
Right.
going to do that. It's
Right.
just getting your subconscious mind to accept that you want, let's say, quit smoking. So this was a man. Most of my clients are women, by the way,
Okay.
because guys try to tough it out.
Yeah. Or they
And
don't
it's
believe in it.
All the above, or
Yeah.
or don't want to believe.
They're
in it.
critical. Their willpower says, "I can do it myself. I don't need you."
Right, and they do that till the grave, right? And
Yeah.
it never
Oh.
changed. So
You're talking to an Irish guy.
there you go, perfect. So 2 sessions in, we
Right.
already did 2 sessions. He's coming in for his 3rd session.
Yeah.
He sits in the chair,
Yep.
and I said, "How did it go?"
Yeah.
He goes, "Well, I didn't have time to buy cigarettes this week."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And what does
Did
that
you buy
mean?
gas?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did
Yeah.
you go to the grocery store? Yeah. Okay. You're a non-smoker.
That's an identity.
He didn't know.
Yeah.
See, we don't know. We don't feel it. It's not painful.
That's right. That's great.
So you're just a non-smoker.
So I'm looking at the time. We're
Yeah.
almost out of time. Carl Brown,
Yeah.
and it's spelled just like BROWN,
Yeah.
right?
Carl's
it's
with a C. Yeah.
C with a Carl. Carl Brown Hypnosis.
Yeah.
And it's been a pleasure to meet you. We hope we gave you something to think about. We'll see you next week.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
This was a great interview.